Every second counts.
You know, this is just flat out racing.
You're just flying out there.
Now we are in the starting block.
It's a different mindset. We're coming in and attacking for the weekend. But we're all ready.
It's going to be very intense.
2 hour and 45-minute tooth and nail fight.
Definitely very, very intense.
Road Atlanta is challenging and difficult.
A lot of fast corners.
So let's go, you know.
The American Le Mans Series comes to CBS Sports, and we've made our way to Road Atlanta for the Chevy Grand Prix of Atlanta in Braselton, Georgia. It's a hot, humid day, but the sun is shining. Possible threats of rain in the area, but the best sports cars in the world have made their way to this tricky, demanding 2.5-mile road course. To get us underway, we've got 3 folks working pit road for us here today, and we're going to start by introducing you to the field of today's racing. To kick things off, here's Calvin Fish.
This season's championship promises to be a battle between 2 heavyweight teams. In one corner we have the champions, Team Yost from Germany, and in the other corner the challengers, Champion Racing from Pompano Beach, Florida. Now, both of these teams utilize the highly successful and extremely sexy race car, the Audi R8. But this weekend, it's like the Roy Jones Jr. of racing has come up in the form of James Weaver in this lightweight LMP 675 car, and it'll be the Lola MG that will start today's race from the pole position. And James, the car has been sensationally fast in practice yesterday. Does it have the legs and stamina to stand up for 2 hours and 45 minutes today?
Good question, Calvin. We hope so. All our suppliers have done a fantastic job. Lola have stepped up on the car. AER have really got some good horsepower for us. Goodyear have supplied us with some new development tyres, which are absolutely stunning. So I think we've done as much as we possibly can as a small team to get us up the front.
All right, James, good luck. It'll be fascinating to see how the battle shakes out with the different classes today. And for more on that, let's go up to the man who'll call the race today, Ralph Shaheen.
Good afternoon, everybody. Well, Calvin's already gotten you up to speed at what will be taking place at the front of the grid, but we have 4 classes competing here today. And in the GTS division, it's usually all about Corvette. But Ferrari came to Le Mans this year and took the checkered flag. And if you talk to Ron Fellows of the Corvette team, he will tell you Ferrari is now a serious threat.
Well, I'd be lying to you if I said we weren't a little disappointed with Le Mans, but yeah, the Ferrari challenge is real. They were fast at Le Mans and reliable. You know, we've got some work to do to you know, to try and beat them on a regular basis, because they were strong here last year at Petit Le Mans, and I don't expect anything different this weekend.
Joining me for the call today, CBS road racing expert Bill Adam. Bill, which car should be faster here at Road Atlanta, the Corvette or the Ferrari?
Well, at Le Mans, we saw the Ferrari had a serious advantage in straight line speed. Just simply horsepower gave that car a lot of speed down the straights. But the Corvette guys liked the advantage they felt they held through high-speed sweepers, and that's what makes up this track.
Very fast, very demanding racetrack here today with 4 classes. How will the race shake out?
Well, of course, the big battle up front between Yost and Champion, that's going to be ongoing all day long. It should be fierce, but the GT Class 2, I think, is particularly interesting today. We've still got the Porsche battle between Alex Job, PK Racing, and Kevin Buckler. That's going to be going. But finally, the 360 Ferrari is becoming a serious challenger. They're third on the grid. They're hoping they can challenge.
Another interesting story is the sports car debut of one of the fastest young women on the planet, Danica Patrick. And with more on that story, our Tracy Wolfson.
Thanks, Danica. It's your first American Le Mans Series race in a new car on a new track. And to make it even more challenging, you had rain and engine problems during your practice times. What are your concerns going into this race?
I think it's just to make sure that, you know, traffic goes clean. I don't know what it's like to drive out there to race out there with lots of different speed cars. So I think the main thing is going to be to cleanly pass everyone and let everyone by cleanly. And just bring it home safe, and I think the less mistakes you make, you know, you can very easily win a race, because one mistake can put you back, you know, 10, 20 seconds. So it's just to run a clean race, and we'll be up front, I think.
Thanks, Danica, and good luck. Let's go back to Jan Beekes now as the story with the GTs.
Yeah, as the cars roll off on the track, we've already talked a little bit about GT, but you know what? The battle for the lead will most likely be against team cars. Of course, Alex Job, the McKenna Porsches, at the moment the 24 car out-qualified the 23. Jörg Bergmeister behind the wheel. Timo Bernard with us here. Let me ask you a question. Last year you battled so tightly. How do you do that without knocking each other off the racetrack?
It's a good question. We had some thrilling and really close races last year, and that's, I think, what the fans wanted to see. And we will keep this for the whole year this year, and we will see a close race today. Like yesterday in qualifying, we're only 2 tenths between us, and I think we have a good chance of winning.
Have a great run.
Thank you.
Now you heard Bill Adam talk about the Ferrari. That is the closest qualified car to the Alex Job Porsches. That Ferrari, maybe not a challenger today, but the Alex Job team says, bring it on. We want that car to go faster because we'd love to race.
Well, there's a good look at some of the color around this American Le Mans Series race here today. The cars are warming up, and Bill, a very, as we said, tricky and demanding and very fast racetrack here today.
A spectacular track, just a really beautiful track to compete on. And it really has everything going for it. First of all, this section here is what we talked about with the Corvettes. The area that they love, very high-speed sweepers. And one of the best spots for passing, right at the end of the back straight, down through this tight turn 10. So a good track. It should provide excellent competition for us all day long.
Well, let's introduce you to today's starting grid for our race here this afternoon at Road Atlanta.
Hello, my name's James Weaver. I'm Butch Leitzinger's teammate and one of Rob Dyson's Lola MGs, and I'm from south of Watford in England.
Hi, I'm Frank Bieler from Germany. I'm in car number 1, the Infineon US Audi, and my co-driver is Marco Werner.
I say, I'm Johnny Herbert of car number 38, and I'm from South London in England, and I'm driving with JJ Leto, I believe.
Hi, I am Didier Theys. I'm from Belgium. I'm driving the LMP 900 number 27, Dallara MG, and my teammate is Erik van der Poel.
Hi, I'm Andy Wallace from Oxford, England. I'm the driver of the number 20 Dyson Racing MG Lola, and my teammate is Chris Dyson.
Hi, I am Olivier Beretta from Monaco. I'm driving the GML Team Panos, and my co-driver is Max Papis.
Hi, I'm John Field from Dublin, Ohio. I'll be driving the number 37 MG Lola, and my co-driver will be the very fast Duncan Dayton.
Hi, I'm Gunnar Jeanette from Gainesville, Georgia. I'm driving the number 11 Panos Elan with David Salins.
Hi, my name is Clint Field from Dublin, Ohio. Drive the number 30 Banana Joe's Lola. My co-driver is Michael Duran.
Hi, I'm Michael Lewis from San Diego. Driver the number 12 Amerisweets LMP car. My co-driver is Tommy Dreesy.
Hi, I'm Ron Fellows from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Driver of the number 3 CompuWare Corvette, and my co-driver is Johnny O'Connell.
Hi, I'm Jörg Bergmeister from Langenfeld, Germany. I'm driver of the 24 Alex Job Porsche, and my teammate is Timo Bernhard.
Well, there's a look at the names, the faces, and the accents of the American Le Mans Series, and here's a look at the rest of the starting lineup. The GT car obviously will be a little bit deeper as we go quickly through the field. We're getting set for the race. Sasha Mawson, Lucas Luhr. We should definitely keep our eyes on the car starting in 18th here today. Jason Workman from nearby running with Melanie Patterson out of Canada in one of the 675 cars. As we work our way through the field here today, Stefan Gregoire and Eliseo Salazar, a couple of drivers who have been teamed together over the years. And now some onboard cameras that we'll have for you today, starting with the 03 Panos GT car, which is debuting here today. We'll have it on board with Joe Foster and his teammates this afternoon. The 24 car, Alex Job Porsche. This will definitely be one of the contenders in the GT class all day today. Jörg Bergmeister going to start that car. Pro Drive Ferrari, number 80 machine, will have a camera for you. Jerome Polican going to start that machine. The Corvette, going to be the number 1 Nemesis. Ron Fellows out of Canada will be behind the wheel there today to kick things off. As we move up towards the front of the field, the champion Audi, JJ Leto, and the Dyson Lola, and the green flag waves, and we're underway at Road Atlanta.
Boy, that almost looked like robbing right there, the Yost car and Dyson's car. Look at the champion going around the outside of Yost. A spectacular, risky move right at the drop of the green flag.
But it's Dyson that grabs the lead, with the champion car slotting into second.
That is a huge risk to take. Now, this is a visor cam. You are riding right inside the driver's helmet. You see the vibration. Look what's taking place when we go down through these S's.
And this is on board the champion Audi.
Incredible risk to take, going around the outside of the USCR before tires are up to full temperature. Now, I wonder how hard is that lead car, the Dyson car, going to push here to try and keep in the lead, forcing the pace, really make these Audis run hard. And look at how equal it balances nowadays under the acceleration. The car leading, remember, weighs a lot less, approximately 1,500 pounds, and has a much smaller motor, so it's interesting to watch it battle the Audis.
Will they stalk him for long, Bill? Will they just wait to see exactly what he has, or will they just pounce on him right away, do you think?
I think they have to try and pounce right away. I mean, we saw the Le Mans race, 24 hours long. We saw Sebring this year. Virtually were sprint races.
And a problem already.
That looks like Mike Lewis's car.
Yeah, it sure is. The Amerisweets machine competing in the LMP 900 class.
And he has spun around. I can't see any damage on the car at all, so let's hope he can rejoin here.
Michael Lewis and Tommy Dreese scheduled to drive that car here today. Tommy getting the call to start it.
A couple of good Trans Am competitors.
Let's take a look at what happened.
Well, I think it's a combination. Cold tires, that's all it is. We talked about the tires not being up to temperature. You try to get as much power to the ground as early as possible, and it was way too early for Tommy.
And as you mentioned, both these drivers usually compete in the Trans Am Series. They have a lot of experience there, but not much experience in these cars, and there's a lot to learn in one weekend.
Well, the number 12 machine actually started the race late from pit lane. I'm unsure what the problem was, but certainly had 1 lap less tire temperature in that machine. But the start there, Bill Adam, I think maybe JJ Leto realized that Marco Werner, first start here at Road Atlanta, may be a bit tentative in turn 1.
And I think that's a good thing to do, because we saw Werner at Sebring really did a fine job at the end of the race here. And in fact, he outran Stefan Johansson in the champion Audi to pull off that victory. So, yeah, I think that's a good move at this point. But for Werner, what he may want to do now is to sit and use the experience of Leto. Sit in third place, try and learn from the guy right ahead of him. Up through this corner. It's such a spectacular track with all of these elevation changes, and you can see they're just starting this high-speed S area here, down through the S's. They're going quite steeply downhill here, left, right, left. There'll be heavy braking, dropping a gear here, and then as soon as they turn into this corner, under hard acceleration, climbing again over these hills.
And a lot of blind corners here.
It does take a long time to learn this track and all of the finesse points of the track because of the blind nature. This is interesting. Right now, James Weaver in the lead car doing a good job there.
There's the other Dyson car right there, which runs back in 5th. There goes the Panos.
This long back straight up over that final little hill. A few years back saw that spectacular flip by one of the GT1 Porsches over that hill.
The number 37 John Field entry is in 3rd in 675, 7th overall, and has one of the Panos right behind him, Gunnar Jeanette, behind the wheel of that car right now, sitting in 8th.
Boy, Gunnar Jeanette had such a good run at Le Mans. I talked to him earlier this weekend, and he's still just beaming from that fight that he had against the Courage over there in the last half hour of the race. After 23 and a half hours of racing, they were still battling fiercely. Now, talking of a fierce battle, look at this. Corvette is leading over the Olive Garden Ferrari. How long has it been since we have seen that green Ferrari run so well?
Well, they've done a tremendous amount of engine work on the Raffinelli Ferrari, which is the green one.
Wow.
And they have picked up gobs of horsepower up. Oh, and
man.
look at the power slide up into turn 1. 590 horsepower, 600 pound-feet of torque in that car. So it is very capable of leaving black marks all over this racetrack.
Boy.
You're now on board with the number 80 car, which runs in 4th in GTS. Ron Fellows currently leads it. The green Ferrari sits in 3rd.
Well, I'll bet
the two Corvettes are 1st and 2nd.
That got his heart pumping a lot, because that's probably 130 miles an hour right there in the Ferrari. And one more time out of the back straight. Now let's see how the acceleration compares between these two cars.
There's the battle at the very front. The two Audis chasing down the Dyson car. Stay with us. We're just getting underway here on CBS.
CBS Sports coverage of American Le Mans Chevy Grand Prix of Atlanta is sponsored by Chevrolet. Wherever there's a winner's circle, we'll be there. And by Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
Just into the early laps here at Road Atlanta, and we are on board with our overall race leader, JJ Leto, who is also the class leader in the LMP 900. We had a lead change while we were away, and here's how he took the lead away.
Well, this is just
car had it, Bill.
Pure brilliant driving on JJ's part. And I mean, he certainly is a brilliant driver. Coming down the hill, the very fast section of track, he gets a terrific run when the leader got blocked slightly. Look at this, JJ just slots up the outside, holds his braking as late as possible, and gets cleanly by into turn one. And since that pass, he has pulled away very quickly. Really masterful driving, getting through traffic. And you know how difficult it is in downtown traffic? The cars never do exactly what you want. Well, on a racetrack, it's even worse, but JJ is very good.
And he's going to take us right past the leaders in the GTS battle, which has been a tremendous fight. The yellow Corvette number 3 with Ron Fellows behind the wheel continues to lead, but that Pro Drive Ferrari, that beautiful red 550, boy, what a car that is. And Thomas Enga is really applying the heat to Ron Fellows. But Bill, we talked about at the very beginning of the show which car has the advantage, and these two right now seem about dead even.
Yeah, I think they are. Even driving talent as well. I mean, Ron Fellows is one of the truly great racers. He has a great spirit about him, matched with his talent, makes it very tough to beat. The Corvette is a 7-liter V8, but the Ferrari is a 7-liter V12. It's a very exotic motor. It's a high revving engine. And the Pro Drive people, this is a huge operation where they build a lot of, as you know, World Rally Championship cars. They build a lot of Formula car pieces. They employ 1,600 people. So for these fellows with the Corvette team to be ahead of the Ferrari, this is not a backyard effort.
Well, we not only have a battle between the manufacturers in GTS, but a big tire battle in this category. The Goodyears are on the Corvette, of course, and then we have the Michelins on the Ferrari, and the Raffinelli car has Pirellis, but the Goodyear boys are really hopeful. They got a new tire here, new compound, new construction. They do not have an extended run in this type of heat, so they're unsure whether this tire will go off in the battle of heat this afternoon, Bill.
Well, and Bill, you can hear that big rumbling V8 in the Corvette, and every time Ron Fellows puts his foot to it, boy, that thing's trying to rotate the earth, and that'll put a lot of abuse on those Goodyear Eagles.
It does. I mean, right now, Pirelli have the best racing tire in the world, purely and simply. They're able to double stint a lot of times, and for new viewers, what that means is that you can actually run 2 shifts, even though you're wearing your tires out. They stay so consistent that you don't have to change them. What you will see the Corvette guys doing on every stop, they will change the tires. I predict the red Ferrari will not change tires.
Well, one battle we haven't had a chance to check into just yet is the fight that's going on in the GT class. And there is your race leader. Sasha Mawson and Lucas Lohr will be sharing this number 23 Alex Job racing entry here today. The McKenna-backed Porsche. Sasha is behind the wheel right now. They are 16th overall with leading GT. Their teammate, Jörg Bergmeister, follows in second place. Lazaro is in third in GT. And we're on board now with Bergmeister on the onboard camera.
Now this is heading down the back straight. Way up ahead, you're going to see a very slight bend to the right. They'll already be doing 150 miles an hour at this point. Here is our slight bend, and up ahead is the tight left-right combination that's so good for braking in here. You just try to get down the inside of somebody, prevent them from turning in, you can make your pass. Over the crest, this next hill, this is where, as you know, the world falls away, right here. Just down the hill, very steep downhill, and you try to do this flat out. This is where everything in your body is saying, come on, foot, back off that gas pedal.
And look how fast that wall comes up, arguably one of the top 5 scariest, most intimidating corners in North America. Well, we talked about the tire battle. Here's our Michelin field summary of tires and who's running what. 16 cars here today running on the Michelins.
Boy, is that an amazing stat right at the bottom. The last time Michelin lost, 1999.
Bill, this is the 40th race today in the history of the ALMS. Michelin has won 38 of them coming into today. They could win number 39 this afternoon.
I think that's why that Michelin man is so fat. He's been drinking too much champagne.
Mr. Babendum's been having a lot of fun in Victory Circle,
he does. And this team here, they almost are synonymous with winning. But the McKenna car, if it is not leading a race, it's almost unusual to see that. So consistent.
On board with our leader. Fighting his way through the traffic. trying to come to grips with this very tricky, very fast racetrack here.
And see him punching a button right there on the steering wheel.
Stay with us. We're coming back for more here to Road Atlanta for the Chevy Grand Prix of Atlanta on CBS. Here's your race leader, JJ Leto, in the Audi R8. As you look through his visor cam. Second place, James Weaver, giving a quick wave. He is the second overall, but Bill, he is first in class 675.
Yes, he is. This car is very, very quick, and it's certainly going to be a class for the future that will consistently challenge for the win.
Well, from the sound of that noise, we're on board with our GTS race leader, Ron Fellows in the Corvette.
Big thundering 7-liter going around the track here. Doesn't have a lot of RPM like the Ferrari has, but with this much grunt in that motor, you really don't have to twist it very high.
And there's the second place Ferrari. Right behind it, Thomas Enga. And Kelly Collins in the other Corvette behind him, holding down third. Oh, and problems for the Ferrari.
Wow. Just tried to get under throttle a little too early. Now let's see how he's going to turn it around here. Let's see if he does a little quick boot. Yeah, good bootleg.
And his teammate went by as well, and so did the Raffinelli Ferrari.
Boy, oh boy.
So Thomas has dropped all the way back to about 5th in class, and there's another look at it.
Yeah, you see it is just coming out of that back straight. They want to try and pick up throttle as early as possible to stay in the Corvette draft. Boy, and there's the Corvette team, and
the Corvette crew watching that.
There's a cheer goes up.
Johnny O'Connell waiting for his stint behind the wheel. And there is Enga back underway. 12th overall now, 5th in class.
One thing to think about is that Thomas Enga really has that European single-seater mentality. He's very aggressive. The spin there, working through traffic. And remember the Petit Le Mans last year, the much longer event back here in October 2002. That car was leading, and Enga got into a lap car, cut down the tire, and ultimately cost them victory that day as well. So this boy is fast, but he's pushing 100% and beyond all of the time.
Wow, you know what? He is pushing 100% right now, Calvin. We just saw him lock the left front brake at the end of the straight. He was getting in so deep, he just carried a fraction too deep. And he's got to watch it now that he doesn't use up those Michelin tires.
Thomas sharing this car today with Peter Cox out of the Netherlands.
What a beautiful piece of work this thing is as well. Now we're back inside the 80 car. That's the teammate.
Right, and in this car right now is Jerome Polican, who drove this car at Le Mans. But his teammate, of course, as we said at the beginning of the show, Danica Patrick, seeing the car for the first time here this weekend, and she's got a lot of first times for her this weekend.
It was interesting. One of the Pro Drive cars at Le Mans had a huge accident in the middle of the night. So this car was at Le Mans, but it was painted blue. So some of our viewers that happened to watch that coverage, yeah, you did watch it. They took it back and painted it their own color of red. And there's somebody who, I thought that Porsche was going slowly, but...
There's the GT battle. You still see the Alex Job cars running first and second in there. Sasha Massa continues to lead over Bergmeister. This is your 5th place overall car. Didier Tays behind the wheel of the number 27 right now. It's 5th overall and 3rd right now in the 900 class. Olivier Beretta in the Panos sits behind him, 6th overall, 4th in class.
That's one of the cars right there, that number 27, that may be up for the best noise of the day award because it has a 5-liter V10. The engine used to be called a Judd, and now it's officially badged as an MG motor, but it just wails down the street. Just a very sweet sound out of that. Didier Tay is also one of the most experienced endurance drivers we have here. He has run countless Daytona 24-hour races, Sebring, Le Mans. He seems to be doing them forever.
Jeff Graves, the crew chief on this car, is a fine art photographer, and Bill, just before he came here to Road Atlanta, he took a trip to the Sacred Inca Trail in Peru, where he wandered along the trail and took all sorts of photographs that he
probably
sells.
Searching for the world's best woman so he can go on that show. Didier looking so smooth down here. I think what they'll try and do, they know they can't match the absolute speed that either the Audi or the Rob Dyson Lola MG has. So they may try to sit back and just play a waiting game. This has proven to be a very reliable chassis and motor, and if you can't run with them, then you wait for them to brake. But how often do you see an Audi brake? Not very often.
Not very often, but it can happen, and that might be one of the possibilities for the Dyson car as well. Stay with us. We're coming right back to Road Atlanta for more of the American Le Mans Series Chevy Grand Prix of Atlanta. This weekend, the American Le Mans Series named Think First as their official charity. Scott Atherton, the president of the series, making the announcement. The first donation, they will help promote youth injury prevention and the usage of bicycle helmets. The American Le Mans Series tries to encourage kids to think before acting to help prevent injuries. Johnny O'Connell and the Corvette team are on hand to lead the parade of helmet-wearing kids on their bicycles. Here's our race leader, JJ Leto, out on the course, getting close to the first rounds of pit stops.
And flashing headlights, just warning some of the cars that he's approaching to get out of the way.
You'll see a lot of headlight usage throughout the... Oh, and it looks like he's making his way to pit road.
This is a surprise.
The champion Audi pitting on lap 42. Very slow entrance on to pit road, and one of the Ferraris following him as well. Thomas Enga bringing the 88 in. You have to shut the engine off and fill the car with fuel first, Bill.
Correct. Under Le Mans regulations, they have to...
Let's check in with Jan Bikas.
Leader on pit road. They are making some changes. The pro-drive Ferrari ahead of them, but let's swing back to the leader where he came in. We expected that he might stay on the track a little bit longer. Obviously, they are not making a driver change. JJ Leto staying in the car. While we do this, the other pro-drive Ferrari coming out, we see the 16 car leaving. This has turned out to be a time when there's been a lot of pit stop action. He's underway. It was only fuel and no tires for the 38.
Oh, man, and what a massive advantage. I'll tell you how important that is, that Leto is leaving the pit lane right now, and he is right behind the 16. He virtually has lapped him because of that pit stop.
For more on the 16, let's touch base with Calvin Fish.
Well, it looked routine, but ultimately they did get a penalty, and we're here with James Weaver. He's talking over with the engineering squad here. James, what was the problem during the pit stop?
Apparently one of the fuelers allegedly had his visor up, so they very generous gave us a 30-second penalty.
How's it going out there, though? It looked like you had the pace of the Yost car, but JJ was very fast.
Yeah, I thought it'd be the other way around. Very pleased with the way our car's going, just not quite quick enough.
You can see it's certainly hot out there. The Englishman's sweating profusely. Let's go down to Jan Bikas.
Danica Patrick is just about to make her debut, but they've decided on the 80 Pro Drive here to change the front tires. Front tire wear has been a problem. The car's not firing immediately. Danica tries again to get it fired. The car must leave under its own power. You cannot push start it. It has stalled again. She can dump the clutch. Calvin?
Well, Team Yost are waiting for this opportunity. They are very concerned about Marco Werner, who's really a rookie in the USA, not a rookie in these cars. He's run Le Mans twice. He did win Sebring, but he was really not handling the traffic here at Road Atlanta very well. Frank Bealey said, I believe the car is good. He's now being strapped in. The driver change is being completed. Fuel is going in. And remember, on these ALMS pit stops, no work can be collected on the car until the refueling is done. We expect a full 4-tire change. Fresh Michelin's going on. Problem with the left rear here. The wheel gun had stuck. Lost several seconds there on the left rear wheel change. Now he's fumbling with a nut on the front. These guys have routinely practiced this, but they can get a little bit out of sync.
Well, major play going on right here, because remember, the champion car did not change tires. Leto has been driving the car extremely smoothly. So the amount of time that they have gained is enormous.
Danica Patrick making her debut now. A very, very talented and very fast young lady, getting her first taste of professional sports car racing with the American Le Mans Series. Yost now making their way out. Frank Biela now behind the wheel. Are you surprised that Biela didn't start the car?
Yeah, I am actually. I thought he would have gone in right off the top.
And here we are now back on board with Danica Patrick as she gets up to speed. And Bill, one of the things we talked about, even though she's very fast, she's used to driving in series where everybody runs basically the same speed. And now, Calvin, she's dealing with 4 different classes out there.
Well, I think she's got the ability to deal with it. She has a great head on her shoulders, but right now we're looking at the pit stop on the number 20 machine. It's Chris Dyson now getting behind the wheel. Rob's son, Rob owns the team, Dyson Racing. Chris has really been cutting his teeth over the last couple of years, and he's got some great teachers, and Andy Wallace, Butch Leitzinger, and James Weaver. Stop is complete, no penalty on this car, and Chris gets back underway.
In the 16 car, the team car to this one, with James Weaver getting out, Butch Leitzinger will now be behind the wheel.
Yeah, Chris Dyson had his dream come true earlier this year. He, of course, won the 675 class at Sebring. So.
Corvettes now out on the racetrack, and the number 4 car still maintaining the lead. Both of these cars have pitted. In the 4 car will be Oliver Gavin now, and Johnny O'Connell now behind the wheel in the number 3, who makes his home nearby here.
Yeah, very close by. Just lives over, has a place on Lake Lanier. We happened to see that the other day, so a good area for Johnny. A win at home is the most special win in the world.
The Corvette driver's a little happy to see that yellow back on the car. They were thrilled to run the American-spirited paint scheme, the very patriotic red, white, and blue at Le Mans, but they said, you know, this bright yellow, as we're thundering down the racetrack, and the other guys look at the rearview mirrors, they see it coming, they know exactly who we are, and they know to get out of our way, because we're probably faster than they are. When they went to Le Mans with the blue, they said, you know what, we blend in like everybody else.
And it's a good point. It's the other reason, too, you see a lot of these cars in this race today running headlights on, and it's just for added safety, just alerting other drivers to the fact that another car is coming up. Now, this is something that Danica Patrick will have to get used to. What you just alluded to a second ago is that she not only will be passing the slower GT cars, but the LMP cars will be blasting by her.
Now, Bill, also you have to be checking your mirrors, obviously, very regularly, as our leader is in traffic right now, so he's contending with this issue. How often, when you're out on this racetrack, you're certainly trying to keep your own car under control, how often and where do you look in the rearview mirror?
You know, just about every chance you get, and it's so important and so difficult because the elevation changes, like going over a backcountry road, that sometimes you look in your mirror and there's nothing there because your view is blocked by a hill. Here at this track, critically important, and this is where the marshals can help so much by showing you flags and alerting you to the fact that somebody is closing on you.
That blue flag with the yellow stripe, move over, get out of the way, somebody faster coming through as we go on board, looking through the eyes.
Now, just an update for our viewers. After that rash of pit stops, Leto in the champion ADT car, boy, did he twitch the wheel there as we were just talking about him. Because he chose not to change tires, he has a 43-second lead. It's effectively half a lap lead now over second place. So the gamble there has really worked for Brad Kettler and the champion ADT crew.
Some of our viewers might be watching the ALMS for the first time. We see our leader now double stinting, going a second round while everybody else has a fresh driver in the car. How tough is it on a guy like JJ on a hot day like today?
Really not. One of the beauties of the Audi driving this car, because you're in a fairly good airflow, it's very comfortable. The people inside the Corvettes, the Ferraris, and the Porsches, they suffer, but the open car is a lot easier to drive.
On board with JJ once again. And you can see he glanced over and looked at the mirror.
Again, this camera mounted actually right inside the helmet, just a very tiny camera. So interesting to see the amount of vibration, and look at his hands on the steering wheel. See him flicking various buttons on the wheel. They control a number of different functions. And the gear shift, you never see his hands move. So again, for new viewers, this car has paddle shift behind the wheel. He will pull back with his left hand for downshifting at the end of the straight. You'll see him right here. Now he's flicking it down, going down probably into second gear at this point. And then his right hand will pull the paddle back for upshifting as he goes over. So that too helps it that you never have to take your hands off the wheel.
And here he comes thundering down this very long straightaway into a very fast corner.
Just remarkable technology in all of these cars. They're made out of very exotic materials, carbon fiber, Kevlar, composite structures. Just that's why they're $1 million cars. They're the most beautiful race cars in the world. This is the kind of thing I used to draw when I was a little boy. So, you know, one of these days I want a car like this.
The Yost car right there, the #1 with Frank Biela behind the wheel, currently runs in second place now. So they have gotten themselves, with the pit stops, into the position they wanted to be, up to second now, trying to chase down J.J. Leto. Leto, Biela, Taves, Beretta, and Leitzinger, the top 5. This Yost Audi winning its third in a row at Sebring earlier this year. Can they do it here today at Atlanta? Monday on The Late Show with David Letterman. Don't miss the one and only Jim Carrey, plus music from Chevelle. Monday right here on CBS, America's most watched network. Here's Road Atlanta from our Porsche Skycam. 2.5 miles worth of asphalt laid through the Georgia countryside. We're about 40 miles north of the big city of Atlanta. On board now through the eyes of our race leader, the number 38 leading here at the Chevy Grand Prix of Atlanta. The American Le Mans Series, round number 2 of their season. J.J. Leto behind the wheel, flashing the lights, working his way through. This ADT champion team, one of the best in the business. And earlier in the weekend, our Tracy Wolfson took a look at their operation.
One of the most amazing things about racing is the paddock area where all the teams stake out. Each camp hopes to be better than the next. Take, for example, ADT Champion Racing. Look how spotless it is around here and how everything, all the tools and the equipment are so neatly laid out so it's easy to work. But a lot of this is also about showmanship. A neat, orderly, clean camp tells the other teams they are ready for business. But it takes a lot of money and a lot of time to put something like this together. It costs ADT Champion Racing $4.5 million a year to put up a camp like this and $50,000 a day to go from race to race. There are 21 people from 6 different countries that are working here this week. To put the entire camp together, it takes 80 hours of man work, and just to make the detailing on the car nose itself takes 140 man hours. This is no joke of an operation.
J.J. Leto, a very serious, very talented race car driver as well, as he works his way past some of the field. Loves to go rallying, skiing, and snowmobiling in his spare time, and he'd like to meet somebody I wouldn't mind meeting someday, Ozzy Osbourne, which would be a real treat.
Well, win the race today, get to meet Ozzy, it wouldn't be a bad deal. And I bet you Ozzy would get a kick out of meeting JJ. I mean, what a wonderful driver he is.
You never know. Ozzy did show up at the Canadian Grand Prix earlier this year, so you never know.
Leto has really been just flawless today going through traffic. He is so good.
Second place, a little bit farther back, Frank Biela, who's going to do, looks like, possibly some double stinting here.
Yeah, kind of a surprise right now. Remember, Biela put on fresh tires during his stop, and he's shown right now is 44 seconds back, so that's a good lead.
The situation for Team Yost, though, is quite desperate, Bill. Right now, they sit about 45 seconds behind the leader, J.J. Leto. As you mentioned, Frank Biela did put on fresh tires. We expect him to double stint and stay on that same set of Michelins. The flip side of that, of course, is that the champion racing team will be changing drivers, and we expect tires as well. So that will cost them maybe 15 to 20 seconds in the pit stop, but you're going to have a very fresh Johnny Herbert and a very fresh set of Michelin tires, and this may allow the champion racing team to take their first victory in an ALMS competition.
And what a great battle that's going to be as the day winds on between Frank Biela and Johnny Herbert. Should be exciting to watch.
Yeah, it's one of those things you pay money to watch, because Johnny is always so fired up at any time. And I think coming from Le Mans and adapting himself to this car, it's been a little challenge.
675 leader is that blue and white number 16 right there, Butch Leisinger, who's also 3rd overall, which of course comes from a very famous, very popular family of sports car racers here in the U.S.
Yeah, Bob Leisinger, a very proud dad. He travels to so many races to see Butch, and you'll see the motorhome over there in the paddock.
James Weaver started that car. They got off to a good start, and boy, Butch is really carrying the flag well. And you think he did a few donuts in that Austin Mini in Dad's backyard?
I like the best non-racing moment, getting married.
Probably a good move. Butch having a good run here today. Very talented young man.
They have to be very pleased the way this car is run today. I think Rob Dyson really took a bit of a chance by not going to Le Mans, by staying over here and doing some testing instead. It seems to be paying off. I mean, they've got this package working so well. At Le Mans, we saw the Banana Joe's car suffer so many problems, and yet Dyson's car have had 0.
GTS leader still the Corvette from the very beginning of this race, but right now it's Oliver Gavin who is out in front. The 3-car led earlier on today. They've struggled here a little bit lately, but Oliver Gavin having a good run. Kelly Collins teamed up with him here today, and they're out in front of this one, leading right now. The Ferrari's running 2nd and 3rd in class, chasing them down.
That's a huge shock. I think with the the confidence level that the Ferrari team had to bring from Le Mans. They were so dominant, they actually pulled the car in with half an hour to go and washed it. Now they come here and all of a sudden they're getting soundly whipped at this point.
After changing drivers, Johnny O'Connell took over the 3-car, and problems instantly for him, a cut down left rear tire.
Yeah, no matter what sort of preparation you do, you can never tell about something that you may run over on the track and get a flat. But the beauty of technology is they have onboard sensors that can alert them to a tire going down and losing pressure. So instead of that destructing at very high speed where it could be very dangerous, Johnny knew ahead of time and knew to bring it into the pit. So that helps everybody.
Johnny is back at it again. He is 15th overall, 5th in class right now, and trying to chase down Mimo Scattarella, who's right there in front of him in Gabriel Raffinelli's Ferrari. And he's pitting.
Pulling in.
So that's going to give Johnny one spot. That'll move him up to 4th.
Another one of the tire wars going on there too. On the Corvette, they're on the Goodyear tires, and Mimo in the green Olive Garden Ferrari is on Pirelli tires.
And the lead Corvette in GTS is coming down pit road. So Oliver Gavin going to make a pit stop in the CompuWare backed Chevy Corvette. And this is last year's cars, Bill. Actually, the last time we saw these cars was at Sebring. These are not the cars that went to Le Mans.
Now, interesting too, Doug, the team manager, was saying how much they wanted to be in the new one.
Calvin?
Well, Ollie Gavin brings the number 4 machine in, and this car has been snake bit. They've had a lot of great positioning going on in races. Remember at Sebring, they were the strongest vet there, but had some mechanical problems. Number 3 took the victory. Ollie Gavin is staying in, so he's got a hard stint here, double stinting in these close cockpit cars with temperatures around 170 degrees. It's very tough. He's a tough young man from England. We're going to see a tire change here. They're very happy with these Goodyear tires. They said they've only fallen off a little bit in pace the last 2 or 3 laps of the first stint, so we'll see some fresh Goodyears going on there, and Ollie can hopefully take it to the checkered flag.
Pit stops in this series seem to take forever, Bill, but you really have to wait for that fueling to get done.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about an hour left. They should be okay on tire wear on this. That really is, I think that's been one of the big problems the Corvette guys have had to work through, and that the Goodyears haven't had the tire life of the Michelins. The Michelin really, they've been so dominant throughout this.
Out goes the air jack, down goes the car. That big V8 rumbles to life, and Oliver Gavin is away.
Now, can I safely say that is your favorite car?
Pretty close.
Just little bias?
It's an awesome car to hear in person. Boy, the entire earth just vibrates when that big V8 rumbles past.
The heartbeat of America.
So they say, and of course in the 50th anniversary of Corvette this season, this is the big weekend for the factory as well. In the GT class, boy, it's been all Alex Job and his McKenna-backed Porsches, and nothing has changed there at all. Lucas Luhr now leading.
Jeez. Well, over the last 2 seasons, we have seen this tremendous battling. Like here, just a second to go. Look, oh man.
Boy. It almost changed for Lucas, didn't it?
Wow. Rental car antics.
He got it going again, though. Well, and now you're on board the team car, the 24 machine.
And he did the right thing. I think even though he went through a spin and risked flat spotting a tire, I think he did the right thing by avoiding contact. Potentially, you're going to damage part of the suspension. So Lucas really showed a lot of smarts in that one by just getting on the brakes, and even though he knew he was going to spin it, the proper thing to do.
For the first time in the history of this team, Porsche allowing these guys to run the sequential gearbox in the car, and that's made them even faster. And both Ferraris are on pit road.
Now, I wonder if this is planned.
Well, there was talk that maybe Danica Patrick was going to have to double stint because her co-driver hasn't been feeling very well, but he is getting back in. So Jerome Polican, whether he's feeling well or not, is going to climb back in.
And I saw tires sitting by the 1 car, but not by the 2nd. So the lead car has got tires near it. And here comes the champion Audi in.
And down to Jan Bikas, our leader is in.
Well, we've talked about what the plan is. Of course, the plan is a driver change, a 4-tire change, and here is the goal. The goal is 30 seconds to get the fuel in and get a driver change made in about 40 seconds so you can change the tires and get this thing out under a minute. You heard Calvin Fish tell you about this is what the Yost team is watching eagerly. Can they get this driver change with Johnny Herbert getting in the car and get the tire changes and get out there without the Yost car taking the lead? But it seems to me like this driver change is taking a little longer than you would want. As suspected, a 4-set. And behind us, let's go to Calvin, the other Audi's in.
Frank Beeler is in. We expect it to be fuel only. They check the tires. They want to make sure nothing is cut down. The wear rate has not gone down below what they expected, but we expect this to be fuel only, and Frank will probably be out of here shortly. So a lot of activity here. They just went for those last few drops of fuel. This shouldn't be a full load, actually. They typically can go about an hour. They need about 50 minutes of gas, I believe, right now. And I think they've okayed the tires. It'll be fuel only. As long as this fires up, we've got a race on our hands, boys.
Well, who do you give the edge to?
Well, Biela's hot right now because he's had a number of laps on the track, but how do you battle against Johnny Herbert? I mean, he's just so good.
From our Porsche Skycam, third car in line is our race leader, Johnny Herbert, already trying to get up to speed.
And the other thing in Johnny's favor that we talked about a few moments ago, he's going to have fresh tires in the car, so he'll be a little bit better.
Calvin?
Leader in 675 is in. Butch Leitzinger behind the wheel, and he's going to stay behind the wheel. It'll be a double stint for Butch. James Weaver will not get back in this car. Now, they again are checking the tire wear. They were hopeful that this new Goodyear rubber would do a double stint. Maybe if they were going for the overall victory, they may have been willing to roll the dice on that, but I think we're going to see a tire change once the refueling is done as well. Butch is on radio communication with the team. He nods his head, and he's used to doing these double stints. He and James, what a great team. They really complement one another. They're willing to share the car, and that's half the battle, to have great chemistry. That leads you to success, boys.
Bill, a lot of smoke venting out from right here. What are we looking at?
Yeah, that actually is a panel that is coming loose too, Calvin. You see on top of the left front fender, one of those vents up above the tire has actually come loose at the back.
Yeah, and you see on both fronts actually, Bill, what that typically is some rubber build-up, and then they'll run over it and that'll flick up and break those vents, and that's really how the air gets. And now there's a problem. They can't fire this engine back up, and under these regulations, they can't bump start the car. It has to fire under its own power, so it seems like the starter motor may be jammed.
Yep.
By rolling the car like this, they'll try and get it kicked out. Butch puts his hand in the air, but he's hitting that starter button. Nothing is happening right now, and this is what American Le Mans competition is all about. You got to get it to the checkered flag. The car has to refire itself.
Oh boy, that's when you need some medicine for ulcers. You go through such a great race pace, and then the car won't start up. And Butch is sitting there right now just in frustration. Looks like the crew may be trying to take the bodywork off. Something that may work, if that starter is jammed in there, Calvin, look and see if they're going to be grabbing a fire extinguisher to try and spray it to cool it down.
Exactly. There's a lot of heat in these machines. They're backing it up. They're going to get it maybe closer to the wall, but this is going to cost them because, I mean, John Field has really been flying in that 37 car today. He's at the pace of these guys. He expected a great race, but they may be handing the victory to him.
There's the 37 car that you're talking about right there. He sits in third, but he's going to take second, which is going to actually give him the lead here in just a minute. He's on the same lap now, so it's just going to be a matter of time, Bill, before he ends up being listed as the leader.
Oh, gee, well, Leitzinger's still sitting there. I think he can hardly believe what's going on right now. John Field, I think, he maybe has used up more bad luck over the last month than any other 10 teams. They went through 5 engines at Le Mans. They went through another engine yesterday, and the really strange part is they have the same engines, exactly the same motor as what the Dyson team does, and they've had no problems at all.
Right, and the Dyson crew has actually helped them quite a bit with their engine development of this car. They've been giving them some expertise, advice on what they can do, and look at this. Finally, Butch is underway, but he's going to be in second.
That's it. Well, good thing that they got going. Now, they're within sight at the end of the race, so they don't have to make another pit stop, and in theory, shouldn't have to use that starter again.
There he is, slowly making his way out of pit road. Now he can get on the throttle and go chasing after the Field number 37. John Field in the 37. www.americanlemans.com is your site for series information and real-time race information about the American Le Mans Series. We'll be back at the Chevy Grand Prix of Atlanta in just a moment.
CBS Sports coverage of American Le Mans Chevy Grand Prix of Atlanta is sponsored by Audi and the all-new A8L, the world's most intelligently designed car, and by Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
On board here at the Chevy Grand Prix of Atlanta, that is in the headlight of our lead car.
And that gives you an idea, the amount of grit, oil, everything that's thrown up off the track, and usually onto the windshield. The advantage, another advantage of the Audi R8 is because the driver is looking over top of that little tiny strip of plexiglass. Well, you can't even see it as they go by so quickly, but basically he's looking into clear air. That is a huge advantage of vision and safety.
Working past some of the slower GT car. Down in the very fast turn one, and then these uphill blind S's. Right there, you cannot see where you're going over that ridge.
It's so fast. At that point in this Audi R8, they're probably at 160 miles per hour over the top. So,
hoping there's nobody sitting still in the water on the other side.
You depend on the track marshals. That's it. You're watching the flags.
Well, JJ Leto climbed out of this car not too long ago. Jan Beekes is with him.
Yes, JJ, first of all, what an awesome ride. Tell me first of all about turn one, going around the outside.
Well, that's my old tweak. I have been using it in a couple of years, in the past as well. So I know that it works well if the track is clean. This weekend it was more difficult because it's been raining a lot, and I had to make sure that it's quite okay. I was thinking first that, well, I'm not going to do it, but then I thought that's a good chance to get by. So I did it then.
Now, what about double stinting? How were the tires at the end of your run?
Yeah, the Michelin tires were working all the way very good. We were almost able to do more or less the same times than in a big enough the first stint. They didn't go down much. The only problem is that you start to get a lot of pickup on the tires, and it's very difficult to keep them clean if you go off the line.
Feel pretty confident about a win?
Well, I mean, you always have to be confident to win. Yes, it would be nice for Champion Racing and Demarage because he's been here for a long time. He has never achieved it yet. It would be nice to give it here. And also for the championship because we are just a few points behind yours. And it's going to be a tough fight with the other Audi. So it would be nice to win here.
Great drive.
Thank you.
Well, we've shown you the onboard cameras, but we're going to mix in a little other technology with this as well. We've got some telemetry for you. It's our Porsche digital pilot onboard telemetry for you. What are we looking at here, Bill, especially with the lateral G?
Yeah, it's very difficult to tell, again, because of the amount of buildup on top of that headlight cover, but watch the left-hand corner. Whoop, just looks like locked up there for a second, but the acceleration as the speed climbs is just massive. These cars, they say they're about 600 horses. Well, if I'm to believe them, they are horses much bigger than mankind has ever seen before. This car feels like a 700 plus horsepower race car, and think that it weighs half of what your street car weighs.
Check in now with what's going on with the number 80 Ferrari, one of the ProDrive machines in the GTS class. As you mentioned earlier, ProDrive does get involved in Formula One. They're also involved in World Rally Championship. And let's check in with Tracy Wilson, who's talking to Danica Patrick, who's crawled out of this car.
Danica, so how was it? How was your first American Le Mans Series race?
It's hot. Everybody told me it was going to be hot, and I even do hot yoga, which is done in a 110-degree room for 90 minutes, and I thought, I can handle this. It was hot.
Anything else you learned out there?
I definitely learned that I need to make sure that my lap time comes up on the dash every time, because in a long race, when you don't know where you are, it's a good motivator and a good pacer, and I couldn't tell how fast or slow I was. So for all I knew, I could have been, doing 21s, or I could have been doing 30s. I had no idea, so it would have been nice to see that. But other than that, I think the traffic wasn't too big of a problem. I know that Atlanta is known for the traffic problems around 3, 4, 5, and other than that, though, it was fine.
There was a chance you might have to finish this race since your co-driver had dehydration. Could you have done it?
I probably could have. Yeah, I was hot, but I didn't really notice how hot until I got out. I'm sure that's what happened to him too. I know that I heard no 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 on my radio, and all I did was see a 2 on the board. So that was my note to come in. And they said go around one more time. I had clicked the limiter, and so I got into it for a second, but I turned it off and finished the lap out. But I think it was a really fun experience. You know, it's a lot of fun when you have a Ferrari, and especially my Pro Drive. It just goes by them all down the straight. So nice.
Thanks a lot, Danica, and good luck.
And Bill, to finish on my thought there, you know, Pro Drive won the 24 Hours of Le Mans with these cars, and then the very next week, that was 2 weeks ago, the next week, they won the Cypress Rally with their WRC Subarus, and this crew here, the GTS team, actually does, on occasion, consult with the WRC crew to exchange information and technology and stuff. So it has been a great 2 weeks for the Pro Drive organization.
It truly is a remarkable organization, but you know, one thing that Danica said that really surprised me is the fact that she was unaware of her lap times. The top drivers can stay so consistent. They don't have to look at a board, and I'm a bit surprised that she is unable to tell. I mean, this has to be such a foreign car to her. It has taken her out of her own element of comfort to where she's unaware of it.
Experience and seat time means everything.
Yes.
Danica got a big lesson here today. Well, there's a tremendous amount of other racing taking place here this weekend. We have some of the highlights for that as well from here at Road Atlanta. For the best in year-round sports coverage with live scores and late-breaking news, go to CBSSportsLine.com or on America Online. Enter keyword CBS Sportsline. Let's check in with what's going on in the GT class. Alex Joe Porsches have been dominating the day up there here at the Chevy Grand Prix of Atlanta. And right now it is the number 24 car that is leading in that division. Timo Bernhard behind the wheel. The 23 has just made a pit stop, Bill, and a driver change.
Yeah,
so that's how the 24 got out front.
I love the fact that there's always that inter-team competition here. It's a huge risk. I mean, because ultimately, if you let your guys go out and play with each other, an incident can take both cars out. But the competition is wonderful.
Yeah, and it's interesting that they decided to pit their cars one lap apart. The 23 was just here, made a 47-second pit stop, and they changed drivers. Any moment, the 24 car will be on pit road. Again, they're going to try and beat that 47 seconds, and they will also change drivers.
Well, these Alex Job Porsche drivers are some of the best and brightest in Porsche's lineup. Timo Bernhard, another one of them. That, it says right there, factory contract with Porsche, his best racing moment, and that says a lot about where these guys are. They are so dedicated to the factory, these kids don't even like being passed during practice. Bill, you talk to the other GT competitors, if you pull up alongside of them, even during practice, they'll run you deep into the corner.
Well, I think that's the mark of a very good athlete, regardless of sport, whether it's a race driver, a skier, what have you. That competitive nature, you have to be superior. You've got to be better than the guy you're up against. And it's very strong. The difficult part is to try and channel it carefully, that you don't want somebody to get out and have this killer instinct where they may destroy the machinery while they're trying to prove they're fast.
The Alex Job organization tends to run a very conservative pace. They really have all things buttoned down in their strategy and their program. And you know what? We kind of nicknamed them Alex's Aces here this weekend, these four young drivers. The bond that they've developed amongst themselves really carries over not just on the track but off the track. In fact, Lucas came up to you and I earlier in the weekend, and the biggest decision he and Sasha were trying to make this weekend was, when the weekend is over, do we go to New York City or Vegas? You and I voted for Vegas.
We did. But I too, I like that bonding very much. Earlier this year, we had the chance to tour some military bases with the Corvette team. And the camaraderie is just astonishing, and it's not something that always happens.
So the Alex Job team continuing the lead here in GT as they have the entire afternoon. Bernhard and Maassen running 1 and 2. And here's our Porsche leaderboard at the Chevy Grand Prix of Atlanta. Timo Bernhard, Maassen, Corp Wagner, and there's the first Ferrari in 4th. Alex Job Racing dominated at Sebring as well at the season opening round of the 2003 season. Cleaned up in the championship chase last year. Can they pull it off again here today at Road Atlanta? Thursday on CBS, when the Amazing Race travels to India, the teams find themselves a world away from anything they've ever known. And this, the most grueling leg of the race, may prove to be too much for some. The episodes you can't miss, an all-new Amazing Race Thursday at 8, 7 Central on CBS, America's most watched network. It's our Porsche Skycam here at Road Atlanta, which was built in 1970. It was bought by Don Panos back in 1996. 2.54 miles long, 12 turns. The highest point, 1,015 feet above sea level. The lowest, just 900 feet. That's over between turns 3 and 5. Your Porsche leaderboard up in the corner. Max Papp is currently running in 4th. And on board with our leader. Watch him slice through this traffic here, Bill.
Just going by, it looks like Racers Group Porsche right there. That's the Kevin Buckler, the monster cable car. Amazingly, we haven't really talked very much about them today. You see, like, he's just inside, outside, trying to get passes any place he can. Herbert really has come up to speed once again in this Audi. Remember, we talked about the fact that he was driving the Bentley at Le Mans, a much different car, different motor, different handling, and so to reacquaint himself with this car. Yep.
And the Panos, number 10 on pit road. Max Pappas behind the current wheel. Jan?
What they're doing is they're just giving Max Pappas a splash of fuel. They know they're going to lose 3rd place on the road, but they had to have enough fuel to get to the end. Now they question whether the Eric Vanderpool entry in the Lista, if they can make it on fuel.
Max has been a very busy man lately, driving in the kart series, doing some NASCAR Winston Cup testing. He's been all over the board.
That's pretty difficult to do, too, jumping into such dramatically different cars. I mean, you know what it's like when you drive different rental cars. Each car has their own feel, so on the racetrack, it's very hard. You have to be ultra sensitive. This looks like a pretty slow stop, too. Trying to fire it back up, and there he goes.
675 liter. So we check in with that division. Actually, the 37 is the 675 liter. This is a 2nd place car, Butch Leitzinger. John Field continues to lead that class and actually runs 2nd overall. Butch is 5th overall. And doing everything he can to chase him down, Bill. The lap times are only about a second off. He's about 16 seconds behind him, though. I don't know if he's got enough time.
Yeah, well, John Field and Duncan Dayton in that leading car right there, you just saw go to the picture, they have to be keeping everything crossed. Again, the luck that they have had lately with engine blow-ups, it's just almost beyond belief.
And a lot of their stuff is actually still making its way back from Le Mans. In fact, Duncan Dayton, the 2nd driver on this car, actually loaned out his tractor trailer to transport everything down so they could get here just to go racing this weekend.
You know, tremendous feat, and they have to work so hard. Sometimes when you go through a spate of problems like that, it can almost be demoralizing on a crew, and I think it's important that John Field and Duncan keep these guys going and say, no, we can do it. We just have to work through it. We have to find the reasons for the problems, cure the reasons, and eventually we're going to get the reliability of the Dyson team. I think the Dyson team does set the standards for this class without any question.
Well, a victory here today would certainly be the ultimate boost of confidence. Calvin?
Down here with Duncan Dayton, you're looking hot and sweaty, mate, but a great run today. You've had niggly problems all weekend long. Can John take it to victory here this afternoon?
We sure hope so. I mean, we're hanging out, we're biting our nails. It's too bad, you know, we struggled really quite badly the last couple of days. But it's holding together now, so we got our fingers crossed, that's for sure.
Okay, well, it's going to be a tight one. They got Butch Leitzinger behind the wheel going head-to-head with John Field.
So John Fields putting in the laps, watching his rearview mirror, hoping number C's Butch Leitzinger show up on the horizon. We're going to come back to Road Atlanta for more racing with the American Le Mans Series shortly. They'll be back at the Chevy Grand Prix of Atlanta in just a moment. The 24 car is your leader in GT class.
And only by a little bit, though. Just look off the tail of this car by a couple of seconds, and lo and behold, there's the old teammate.
Not far behind.
No.
Now, we talked about them utilizing the sequential gearbox here this week. What's the difference between that and the standard gearbox we have in our passenger car?
Well, yeah, the passenger car is an H pattern or else a double H pattern that's put together for a 6-speed. But a sequential box is basically exactly like what you have in a motorcycle, where you just move the lever always in one direction for upshifts, and you move it in the opposite direction for downshifts. The beauty of that is it makes a missed shift virtually impossible. What you still can do, however, you can downshift it way too early and make the engine revs go to points where engineers don't want to think about it. But
Right.
at least from a gearbox standpoint, it really does help keep these cars alive.
Of course, the regular gearbox that we see in the race car, for example, Corvette this weekend not utilizing the sequential gearbox, still much faster than what you would have in your street car, but then the sequential gearbox, even faster than that. Let's go downstairs to Jan Bikas.
Well, let's talk to Timo, who just got out of the car with the sequential gearbox. How do you like the new gearbox in your Porsche?
Gearbox is really nice. Now the car is a real race car. You have that gearbox. You have it's great to drive. I really enjoy it.
Pleased with the performance. You guys have been running really quick today. Any dramas? Obviously, you're leading. Things look pretty good.
Yeah, we lost unfortunately a little bit time in the traffic, and then I could close the gap to Lucas, and he had a spin, and then I could overtake him. So I'm quite pleased. We are leading. It's I think 10 minutes to go. I hope we can drive this home. It would be really good.
For a guy like yourself, when you're not driving, how nervous when the other man is in there and you have a chance to win?
Excuse me, I didn't.
How nervous are you when you're not driving and you're so close to getting a win?
Yes, at the moment I'm a little bit nervous because it would be our second victory, the first of the year. It would be great for the season, but let's see, it's still a little bit to go.
Thanks.
Thank you.
About 16 minutes remaining. And Bill, let's take a look at how you do drive the sequential gearbox as we're going to go on board again and show you just how fast it is. But it is tricky to learn. And Porsche debuting the sequential gearbox here this weekend. If things go well, which it is, we should be able to see this gearbox throughout the rest of the customer cars in the GT class soon.
Now you'll notice that the right foot on the throttle stays on the floor on upshifts. He's backing off a little bit there as he goes down through this long, fast corner, but they're flat out again. They're just tapping the brakes, make sure they're going to be there, and only using the clutch on a downshift. But watch, now he's going to go up the hill here. He's flat out. And listen to the engine RPM. Now you hear the engine RPM drop. All he did was just simply pull back on the gear shift. The electronics take care of stopping the engine from detonating, and it'll help you shift. Eventually, when they get this perfected, the gearbox will also be able to downshift without using the clutch. Right now, they're doing this to make sure it's going to last. Again, a little tap on the brakes is to make sure they're going to be right solid at the end of that straight. That's all that's for. But it's like a ballet. Okay,
and Bill, this is one of those areas where we see what's developed in racing also move over to the passenger car.
Oh, exactly. There's so many cars available nowadays, from Ferrari to Porsche to a variety of vehicles that have this shift technology. BMW actually has a very good system. Again, a little confidence tap on the brake pedal just to make sure it's not down too low.
And you say a confidence tap, that's really just helping to settle the car.
Well, what actually happens in the race is the brake pads wear. Of course, the fluid is going down in the master cylinder through the lines, taking up the space that used to be occupied by brake pads. So the pedal gets closer to the floor. Well, if you pump the pedal once or twice, there, like right there, he does it there, then it comes back up rock hard again.
Making sure it's all there when you need it.
For at least one application.
And our overall leader, flashing the lights, I'm coming through as he works his way with less than 14 minutes remaining here at the Chevy Grand Prix of Atlanta. Johnny Herbert in that champion ADT Audi.
Yeah, and again, for new viewers, you keep in mind that even though there's only 14 minutes left, you think this is a lock. Only a few years ago, we saw one of the BMW factory drivers with a couple of laps to go throw it away.
Tonight on 60 Minutes, how did what used to be the lion's share of college sports end up as the lioness share? And what do the men plan to do about it? That's coming up tonight on 60 Minutes. Time now for our close shave, and we've talked about it a little bit. This is our Gillette Sensor 3 close shave, and it's going to go with this car, Bill, and it came right at the very beginning of this race.
Well, this is making a statement immediately.
Coming to the outside, right there. That move right there got J.J. Leto up into second. From there, he took over the lead. And it's been all them from there, but it's no understatement about how difficult that outside pass really was.
Tremendously difficult, because the tires were still cold. They did not have a good level of grip yet, not nearly great adhesion, and yet he knew he could do it.
And not the grippiest part of the racetrack as well.
Definitely.
But we'll be back for the finish. Can Johnny Herbert get champion, their first victory here this year? Stay with us to find out CBS Sports, the Chevy Grand Prix of Atlanta. The finish coming up. The Chevy Grand Prix of Atlanta is round 2 of the 2003 season for the American Le Mans Series. Get stuck in the kitty litter like this, and the only way out is to get dragged out, and that is what happened to the number 52 GT machine. Phil Collin, Tony Burgess sharing this Porsche.
Boy. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Looking at that left front wheel, it's locked up solid, and yet the left rear was turning. Well, he spins coming in here. I wonder if he had some sort of a brake problem.
And we saw that earlier. There
it goes.
Confidence check of the brakes.
You know what? It probably was just some stone or something that was locked up on the actual brake itself. So that's good.
It was only a local yellow in that section of the racetrack, so the rest of the course stayed green. We continue racing.
Yeah, but I'll guarantee the pulse rate on the champion ADT crew, they just must have been skyrocketing because they could have seen their 28-second lead disappear.
Frank Biela continues to chase them down in that Yost Audi. And Bill, he's hanging in there. He's running very competitive lap times, but he's running out of time. He's about 28 seconds behind, and he's struggling to make up that difference.
Yeah, Johnny Herbert actually just ran a lap about a second and a half faster than Biela, so that's got to give a lot of hope for the champion crew.
Marco Werner started this car for the Yost team. Calvin Fish standing by with him.
Marco, turn 1, JJ really took advantage around the outside, and that really had an influence on the race here today.
I didn't see JJ. I was behind the low line, was too close to the right side, but JJ came on the left side. He was so quick and no chance for me.
Talk about this racetrack, Road Atlanta, very difficult with traffic. You certainly encountered a lot of the slower cars, particularly down through the S's. Is it the toughest racetrack you've seen so far in terms of dealing with traffic, Marco?
No, not before. It's not so easy. It's the first time for me. I haven't the test before, and that's not so easy for me.
Well, certainly the team's a little disappointed. They've never lost here at Road Atlanta, but unless something strange happens, Champion Racing looking awfully strong, guys.
And this is going to be a battle we're going to see throughout the remaining races with the American Le Mans Series this year. Yost versus Champion, Bill. It's a battle not between the brand of car, but between the two teams.
Isn't that amazing? Look at that. Yost wins at Road Atlanta. Just incredible. What a team. I mean, Reinhold Yost, he's just become legendary in this sport.
And don't forget, last year, Yost ran 2 of these Audis. So, for example, you know, where Champion has finished 3rd, it was probably behind the 2 Yost cars. This year, there's only 1 to contend with.
You know, I think to equate Reinhold Yost to, again, for new viewers, he's like the Vince Lombardi of endurance racing. He has just set records and standards that are hard to imagine.
In GTS, the number 80 car runs back in 3rd. But the 88 car with Thomas Enga on board, their team car, James Polican, sits in 2nd, but it's still the Corvette of Oliver Gavin that leads. But this is the car that Danica Patrick got laps in today.
Yeah, this has to be particularly satisfying for the Corvette guys to have done this today, too. I mean, also for Ollie Gavin, Ollie and Kelly Collins should have had a victory at Sebring. It was taken away by a fluke failure of a drive shaft. And I know we were out a couple of days ago boating with Kelly Collins, and we'll get into that more later on this year, but he was very pumped about this race.
Actually, I should say the number 3 Corvette is 3rd in class. They just got him just past him. That puts him in there. But actually, I would think that Polican and Danica should both be happy as well if they can keep all 4 corners on the car, get a top 4 finish out of this thing. Boy, that's a pretty solid day for them.
That was just about one of our close shaves right there, too. You just saw the Corvette start to turn into the corner. At the last minute, the car veered back because he saw the Audi. Very close, that silver Yost Audi just sneaking up the inside as he came out of the straight. Right there. He continues to push hard, though. Biela really is flogging this car on the track. He currently is running lap times in a 1 and 17-second range. Johnny Herbert's last lap was 1 and 15. So Herbert in the ADT champion car is stretching out the lead even more. He is almost up to a 30-second lead.
Back on board with the Corvette, we mentioned that Doug Feehan is the team manager for this crew, and Oliver Gavin driving right now. And we talked about the unity of the Porsche crew with Alex's aces. Same exact thing with the Corvette bunch. But you know what? They have a turn. If you do something wrong with the team, as Oliver Gavin did earlier in the weekend, you have to come to the crew and say, guys, I'm the biggest idiot on the team. That's exactly what you have to say. Oliver said that because he left his briefcase back in the transporter on Friday, had to call Doug and say, Doug, I'm the biggest idiot on the team. Not a problem, Oliver, what'd you do? He mentioned it. It's no problem, we'll get your briefcase to you. Of course, the guys took the briefcase and filled it up with all sorts of things, tied it up shut so he couldn't open it, and happily delivered it to him at his hotel room. But a very unique group on this Corvette team. And Doug Feehan, as much as he is a team manager on the business side, it's just as much on the psychological side. He works very, very hard to make sure that that team unity stays together with these guys. And he specifically picked these drivers because he felt not only were they fast, but psychologically they would bond well together.
I think it's very important, whether it's an NFL team or an NBA team or NHL, when you have a bunch of players that work together, that work as a team, they're very successful. All 6 of these drivers play together, they tease each other. There are no egos that are shown between them, and that's a rarity in racing. Normally you get a lot of battles of egos. Not with these fellas, and it's just remarkable to see.
Not just with the drivers, but the same thing with the crew as well. When the number 4 car had problems at Le Mans at the very beginning, everybody from the other team jumped right over to give a hand. In 675, this is what we're looking at here. This very car is your current leader and 3rd overall, John Field. What a great day these guys are having right now, Bill. Really, really strong performance. They need the morale boost, and John Field just minutes away from providing this team with a tremendous shot in the arm.
Minutes is the key there, Ralph, because the team really feels they're really tight on fuel. About 10 minutes ago, Duncan Dayton Tommy said, I think we need 2 more laps of gas. We may have to make a splash. And right now, they're recalculating the numbers, and they're hopeful they may be able to squeak it, but it's going to be really down to that last lap to see if John Field can bring the Banana Joe's car across the line first.
Boy, you know what I think they have to do then is they have to start communicating to him to short shift the car. Instead of taking it to maximum RPM, shift it a lot lower. They've got the luxury of a lap lead. Save your gas.
And Bill, the car chasing them with Butch Leitzinger behind the wheel, which led early on today, only 16 seconds back with less than 4 minutes, very easily could reel him in.
Oh, I think he will actually. I mean, you've got to play the conservation game. If he runs out at this point, oh, wow.
And if you have to conserve fuel, that means backing off a second, 2, maybe 3 seconds a lap.
Yes. And now we're down to like 3.5 minutes, so it's going to be, it's a case of another 2 or maybe 3 laps. So take what you've got, back off and try and stretch it. What he wants to shoot for is crossing the start-finish line with his opponent just off the tail. I mean, you just win by an inch, and that'd be perfect.
That's all you need.
That's it.
And we've talked so much about the emotion this team, the roller coaster they've ridden. And boy, just when you think they might get the big morale boost, there's the 16 closing in. Maybe the train will be derailed again here today. From our Porsche Skyscam, there is the interval to the leader just making his way on to the front straightaway. The second car, now the first car there. So you can see, not that far off, Bill, maybe half a mile?
Down to about 2 minutes and 45 seconds before the end of the race. So, I think he's got to start playing a little bit of a game. Maybe use the car up through the corners a little bit harder. If he'd been backing off, try to run a reduced pace, use it up through the corners. But instead of going right to maximum RPM, where you burn most of your fuel, short shift the car. Drop it by 500 or 1,000 RPM.
For example, down the very long straightaway.
Exactly.
Which he's working his way towards now.
Well, we're down to 2 minutes to go in this race, so he should have 1 more lap when he comes around here.
And you say backing off even just 500 RPMs. How much of a difference would 500 RPMs make?
You know, it's hard to tell, but this is a small engine, and they tend to rev a lot higher to make their horsepower. So anytime you drop the RPM down in your street car, instead of shifting at very high RPM, if you shift it lower, you're going to get increased fuel economy.
Also, putting that egg between your foot and the throttle and easing into the gas and not stomping on it makes a huge difference. The smoother, the better.
And one final thing he can do is coasting. Instead of keeping his foot right flat on the gas until the last possible instant and then jabbing on the brakes, back off and coast for the last 100 feet. That's one thing where Tom Christensen is brilliant at doing, getting great fuel economy. And one of his secrets is coasting. He just tends to back out of the throttle and then get on the brakes after a second or two delay.
No problems up front for Johnny Herbert with less than 2 minutes to go, less than a minute and a half actually to go.
Well, Johnny may get the white flag this time around, so, oh man, now this is where, how tightly can the champion guys cross their fingers? Dave Mirage, the owner of Champion, has waited so long for this.
Bill, you've actually driven for Champion, and you know what that team is all about. What will this mean to them?
It's almost beyond describing. I mean, they have had so many frustrations. They came so close to Sebring this year, the 12-hour race. They led something like 290 laps. Yost, who won the race, led something like 70, but they led the important last one. There's a car off. I think that's Tommy Dreesy.
It is. And Tommy's behind the wheel.
Oh, boy.
If I'm not mistaken, Bill, one of the last times Champion took a checkered flag was with you behind the wheel.
I was fortunate to win at Sebring with Hans Stuck for Dave Mirage.
And there's the Yost car has just taken the white flag, so it looks like Johnny Herbert has a 30-second lead. He's about halfway around on his last lap. He should be able to bring Dave Mirage a victory here today at Road Atlanta.
Well, this is just going to be wonderful. There is no nicer man in the world of motorsport than Dave Mirage, and I think the celebration that he can have tonight with his drivers and his crew, and he will celebrate with the crew because he shares everything. This will be tremendous.
Turn 10A and 10B right here. 2 corners to go.
Oh, boy.
Down the hill, he could just about coast it home from there under the bridge. Here he comes to the checkered flag. Johnny Herbert has won the Chevy Grand Prix of Road Atlanta.
Excellent. There we go.
The crew celebrating on the pit wall. A huge day for Dave Mirage and Champion's ADT Audi team. Now, can the 37 make it? Another big first win here.
Great job.
John Field does it. The 675 victory. 3rd overall goes to John Field and Duncan Dayton. GTS making its way to the checkered flag now. Down that long back straightaway for the final time. Oliver Gavin behind the wheel of the Corvette. The 50th anniversary year for Chevrolet's Corvette. Big, huge celebration this weekend over in Nashville, just down the road from Bowling Green, where the Corvettes are put together. Thousands of vets there for the celebration this weekend. And at Road Atlanta, they'll celebrate with a victory. Oliver Gavin wins it for Corvette in Atlanta to Jan Beekes.
With Brad Kettler of the Champion team. Brad, I think you took your first breath right now after waiting for 10 minutes. You've been waiting for this so long.
My heart is beating like a jackhammer. That was a long 10 minutes. We have worked so hard to try to finally achieve this, and I'm just beaming with pride for my boys and for the team, for Mr. Mirage, and for our sponsor ADT. The Champion ADT R8 ran just fantastic today. Just a second. Thank you, Johnny.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah, we had a good result in Le Mans 2 weeks ago, and I've really been working the boys hard to get here. We had a lot to do, had a car to rebuild, and it really turned out great. I'm just ecstatic.
Johnny Herbert's got one more corner to make, and that's the one into victory lane. We'll be back here on CBS to talk to our winners. Stick around. Victory lane coming up.
CBS Sports coverage of American Le Mans Chevy Grand Prix of Atlanta is sponsored by Porsche for the pure sport of driving, the new Gillette Sensor 3, and by Mazda. There's a soul of a sports car in everything we make.
Tonight on 60 Minutes, how did what used to be the lion's share of college sports end up as a lioness share? And what do the men plan to do about it? Tonight on 60 Minutes. Then don't miss TV's #1 new drama, CSI Miami, followed by the CBS Sunday movie, Perfect Murder, Perfect Town. It's all here tonight on CBS, America's most watched network. Victory Lane, a very, very happy place here today for the folks from Champion Audi. Johnny Herbert out of the car.
Johnny, you've won Grand Prix, you've won Le Mans, but how sweet is this for the champion team?
Oh, I say, this is a long time coming, and I'm so proud of the team. They've done a magnificent job, you know, with the couple of years I've been with this team, and it's just great for them now to actually achieve it. You know, we've been so close so many times, but finally we've done it.
You must feel pressure as a driver when you're looking for that win, but how much pressure was within this team?
Well, I think as drivers, you know, I think it's something that we've always wanted it, and again, the experience helps in that respect, but you've got to do the job. You know, everything went very smoothly. We didn't get any cautions, which helped, but it's the crew, you know, they haven't had a victory, and it's nice to, you know, it's nice to be able to give it to them. And this guy did a brilliant, mega job at the beginning. That made my job a lot easier.
Great job, Johnny. JJ, that was an awesome opening stint, the first lap around the outside, and then getting the lead away from Weaver.
Well, I have been here a few times, so I know the tweaks already on this track, and you know, I thought that, you know, in the beginning of the, you know, the first lap, you know, you have to do something. You're in third position, and I knew that the other cars are very fast, so I thought that the other year's car is running a little bit more downforce, so maybe we have a chance, but I thought that I'd take it on the first lap and first corner. It was nice. It was just the car was running so well all the time, and we didn't have any problems. It was very good with the traffic and everything. I'm happy.
Superb result. Champion Racing finally getting that first win. Maybe the floodgates will now be open. Let's go over to Jan Beekers.
Well, it's been a great day for the 24 Alex Job Porsche. First of all, we talked to Timo a lot today. Let's start with York. You finished the car. Really, a great job for you guys falling behind and then dragging yourself and working your way to the front.
Yeah, my first stint I had some problems with traffic, so actually bad luck. But in the second stint, the car was really good. The crew did a great job in the pit stop, and we were in the lead, so no problems. It was quite easy the last stint.
Now, in both cases, when you brought the car in, once for Timo, once for you, locking up the brakes, sliding it sideways, it seemed like your team was just a little more pressure-oriented today.
Yeah, we tried to be aggressive and not losing time in the pits, and even on the way to the pits. So it's everywhere. It's not just in the stint, also on the way there.
And Timo, Jorg was telling me a moment ago that he was really giving you credit for running down the other car when you fell behind. Great stint there for you. What was the key there to getting that kind of speed?
Yeah, I knew I was 20 seconds behind Lucas, and I had only one chance to push and to see how I can close the door maybe, and I got a little bit close, and then he had that spin. I was right behind afterwards, and I could overtake him. That was the key of our race, and now I'm really happy. I want to thank the team and Jörg, and it's great. It's our second ALMS race victory, and it's great.
Tell us a little bit. You come from the Porsche Junior program. Tell us what that means to you and what they've provided for you.
Porsche helped me a lot in my career. I came 1999. I came to Porsche for the UPS Porsche Junior team. I won the Carrera Cup 2001. Stepped up as a factory driver last year, and now it's my second ALMS ALMS year, and it's great. And I want to thank Porsche as well.
Great job, Calvin.
Winner in GTS is the number 4 Corvette led by Ollie Gavin. Ollie, this team has really been snake bit. I mean, Sebring you had the dominant car there. It didn't quite come together for you. How's it feel sweet today?
Yeah, the CompuWare Chevrolet Corvette was fantastic today. It just performed brilliantly. I have to thank Kelly. He drove a really strong first stint. It was dynamite. Past Thomas, past Ron, and then the boys got me out back in the lead. And I just drove pretty much as hard as I could. The Goodyear tyre stood up well, so it was a really great result for us today.
Pretty cool. You did a double stint in those hot cockpits. How was it out there doing a double?
By the end of the first one, it wasn't too bad, but by the end of that second one, I was starting to get a little bit tired. But like I say, the car hung together. I have to thank all the boys on the 4 car. They did a brilliant job today, brilliant pit stops. Just a fantastic result for everybody.
Congratulations. Let's go over to Tracy.
And we're here with the winner of the 675 car, John Field. You guys were close on fuel. You pulled it out, though.
First of all, I got to say hi to my wife and my little baby girl, Taylor. Love you both. I'll see you tonight. Yeah, we're close on fuel. This guy here, Duncan, he's with me all year. He drove a phenomenal stint, kept the Dyson guys off our back, and then we just put it together at the end there. It was awesome.
Duncan, you placed second at Sebring, now a first place here. What a great start to the season.
It was fantastic. You know, we were really bummed at Sebring that we didn't do better, and we're just hoping to come out here with a points lead, but to actually beat both Dyson cars is a real thrill. I'd just like to say thanks to John.
How was it out there? Was it a tough race, though?
I think the key to the race, how we both excelled was we were great in traffic. We took some chances maybe you normally wouldn't take. You know, at the end there was a caution, and 1 and 2 was holding us up, and Dyson's were catching us a little, but we brought her home.
Thanks a lot, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Happy victory lane down there. A lot of folks getting some big morale boosts today.
I think huge morale boost for John Field, Duncan Dayton, and for the champion guys. Boy, oh boy, finally it's here.
Here's your full field rundown. Frank Biela, Marco Werner will finish second. John Field and Duncan Dayton third overall as well. Oliver Gavin, 7th overall with Kelly Collins, but number 1 there. And how about Ron Fellows and Johnny O'Connell battling back for...
Terrific job coming back after that tire blow up and having to go basically a full lap with no tire at all on the back end.
Lucas Luhr, Sasha Mawson, you think they go to New York City or Vegas tonight?
I think they're going to go to Vegas and do some gambling.
Leo Hendry and Peter Barron, 25th. Overall, of course. And rounding out the field, the Gleason Porsche. Let's go back downstairs now. Here's Calvin with Butch Leisinger.
Second place in 675. Butch, I know you came in here with high hopes of a class win and maybe an overall win. Are you happy or disappointed right now?
Well, we're pretty disappointed, actually. You know, in order to get an overall win, we need to win the class first, and we haven't even done that. But, you know, we definitely had the car for it. We had that stupid alternator problem, or startinator problem. And it's hurt us a lot before, and it hurt us again. So we definitely have to get that fixed before we can really challenge these guys.
The penalty in the pits and then that starter problem really cost these guys, but look out, these boys are for real. They could get a victory this year overall, not just in class.
Bill, at the beginning of the day today, you said you thought it'd be a pretty competitive afternoon and a good battle between Corvette and Ferrari. How do you think, did it shake out the way you thought?
Yeah, I think it did, actually. The high-speed corners at the Road Atlanta track here did play into the Corvette's strength, and they're very, very good at that. But Ferrari, it's a phenomenal team, the ProDrive team. They're not going to sit back. The other hand, with Champion, boy, they have finally beaten the king. They've beaten Yost the first time, and usually your first victory is the hardest.
It's going to be a lot of fun to watch the rest of the year. The victory celebration continues here at Road Atlanta. A great day at round number 2 for the American Le Mans Series, the premier sports car series here in the United States. It's a thrilling afternoon of racing. Great battles as we predicted early on. Corvette and Ferrari, that war will rage on throughout the rest of the season. Champion versus Yost will continue as well as they challenge each other for the biggest title in sports car racing. For Bill Adam, Tracy Wolfson, Calvin Fish, and Jan Beekes, I'm Ralph Shaheen. So long from the Chevy Grand Prix of Atlanta, where your winner was Johnny Herbert and J.J. Leto.